Welcome to our Real Estate for People show. Here at VG Homes team, we are in a mission to help our home buyers and sellers. So to better understand the process of buying and selling a home, and of course, to make our best to facilitate this process, which most of the times goes fine. It's easy, but it's long. But there are times and moments that it's get very complicated. So today at the show, I have Alexis, the Homeward company advisor. Welcome in our show, Alexis.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I'll just make a little bit of introduction of how we got to know each other. Of course, it's one of those phone calls that most of our agents, real estate agents, we get. And so you took my attention, you got my attention from the very beginning when you start talking and explain to me about the Homeward company, how it works and everything. And of course, I want to have my buyer's client to create for them the best experience when it comes to buying a home. And so I started to introduce the program to my clients, but then I thought, let's get the expert, and probably is the best thing for them to hear it from the expert. So just introduce yourself a little bit. How long have you been in the real estate industry, and what it is, how old is Homeward company? A few words.
Absolutely. Again, thank you guys so much for having me. So I personally have worked with Homeward for the past 7 to 8 months. And that would be my real estate experience before I worked in like interior design. But now, you know, how the market's shifted, Homeward has been innovating as best as they can since they have been in business for about 3 years, since 2018. And we are originated in Austin, Texas. So our founder, his name is Tim Hale. He's actually a real estate agent as well. And that is why we partner with agents still to this day. And it's completely free for an agent to partner with us. His goal is just to help fill in the gaps of agents' businesses, and as well help clients be able to buy their home seamlessly, kind of just answering and fixing any of the finance problems. And this is a solution that's been going for the past 3 years. And we've just brought markets as well. It's like Florida, Georgia, Oregon, Washington. We've been in Texas, but now we're in Arizona, Colorado. So soon to be in California. So keep you posted on that, but we're, making our way.
Yeah, so in 3 years, looks like a very nice growth of Homeward company. And I do not doubt that it's coming from a real estate agent, because as a real estate agent, you see the pain or where there is a problem or an issue where your clients need the most of the help. And of course, so this is why the founder started this. So let's start a little bit unpacking the Homeward. So we have a buyer and he's looking to buy a home. So the very first step that the buyer goes through, and we all real estate agents, we advise them to go. So it's if we have, let's say, a buyer that wants to get a loan or a mortgage. We are not talking about the cash buyers here. So the first step is to go to talk to a loan officer to find how much money house they can afford. So how does the Homeward starts or matches with this first step for buying a home?
That's a great question, because it's definitely different than the normal traditional real estate transaction. So first thing you would want to do as a client is get approved actually with Homeward as well. Even if you're approved with a different lender, we do our approvals very different and are very detailed. We fully underwrite you so that you're not only getting approved for a mortgage, but also our cash offer. So it's kind of like a two for one. So once you're approved, going back a step, how you get approved is fill out a standard mortgage application, just like normal. You could even, if you had an existing house to sell, you could provide details about that home with photos that could be taken from your phone, or just any details like showing how many rooms and bathrooms, so that we can collect details about your existing home, the standard mortgage application, and then any additional documents you would normally do. But this is in hopes to get you the most cash available to make your first Homeward offer. And then, yeah, once you're approved, then you kind of get approved with the mortgage with us as well. It's 2 separate applications. And so at the very minimum, your fully underwritten approval, you'll be able to get a competitive mortgage and still make a traditional offer, if that makes
So,
sense.
yeah, so just to make it a little bit clear and see if I understand it correctly, and the audience as well. So you can help also when it comes that a buyer has a home for sale, right? And then also when there is a buyer that doesn't have anything to sell, it's just going straight to buy a home. Is that right?
Yes.
And so what are the requirements? So generally speaking, because I know that might be different, but generally speaking, what are the requirements for a buyer to get approved from Homeward?
That's a great question. So we have, a couple buyer programs. We have 2, and then we have our buy before you sell program. So for buy before you sell and buy with cash, you would need a 640 credit score to apply. But we did just come out with during this like market shift that we're going through, we have innovated a newer program for buyers to help the ones that are just absolutely need to buy. Could be FHA, someone with even a credit score of 580. We can now help. So those are the minimum credit scores. Now it would be normal qualifications to, like, as you would qualify for FHA, conventional, VA, and jumbo loans. We still follow like Fannie and Mae, and you'd still need to have like the same debt to income requirements for each loan type. But those are our credit requirements. And then of course, after that, that's kind of like the basis. Really, the client will get an approval specialist once they filled in like the application, and they'll go in and do like whatever required documents. They'll request those as needed to just fully underwrite, the client. But those are like the basic requirements.
And so, yeah, and what is the time? What is the timeline to get approved? Because I'm listing so many documents and do this, and it looks like a very long process. For how long? What is the timeline? So let's say today I come, I start the application. So how long it's going to take for me to get approved?
Good question. So it would be about 24 to 48 hours. As soon as the client does put in their information, obviously the sooner that we can help them. So if there was a client who had a house they wanted to make an offer on, and they haven't done their application yet, but they absolutely need to make like that offer that day, we would have them do their application as soon as possible, and then we could request like a offer request and put that in for them and try our best to do that. I have seen us be able to do it in one day because they did an offer request. So there is a little loophole if it was, emergency to get that home.
All right, yeah, makes sense, because you also have to go through verifying the documents and all the information that's coming through. So, okay, we talked about it, the first step. So let's say I got approved. I start house hunting right now, the second step for the buyers. What kind of properties can you guys support or have in your portfolio? Or so do you have any specifics or something exemption that you don't want to include?
Yes, so we can work with from 200,000 price range to 3 million. Anywhere in Florida specifically, and anywhere in the previous states that I listed, like Colorado, Texas, Georgia, Arizona, all those that I listed before. So yes, it would be from 200,000 to 3 million. They will do like extra looking at like flood zones. That's kind of everywhere in Florida. So they will do what they can, like it's case by case. But the majority is that price range. And now I'm thinking of what the other thing was. Oh, the exemption. So we can work with condos, townhouses, all that jazz, but we cannot work with mobile homes at this time. So we could work with HOA, condos, and townhouses, all that. But mobile homes are the only exception, if that, within that price range, that we cannot. help at this time.
Okay, so since the condos are included in townhouses, that's a huge for Florida, right? So that's
Yeah, we could not miss that. We could not miss that.
all right. So I have a specific question. So let's say if we find the home, we are ready to put the offer. So Homeward is going to put the offer for the client, correct? For the buyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what is the, I mean, I'm very, because I guess everybody wants to know, so how much they are gonna, do the buyer need some cash? Or just if you can really go deep in this process right now. So how much they are gonna need to have? So do they need cash? Or let's say the Homeward buy the homes for them. So what's going on after that? Supposedly everything closes and it's perfect. So if what happened if the buyer cannot really pay back Homeward, or there is any problem? So this is what I want you to highlight more.
Yes.
So for everybody to understand their benefits and pros and
Mhm.
cons of the process.
Yeah, so if you were a client and you got Homeward approved, this would be your really exciting time to go house shopping with your agent. And the nice part is, you get to stay with your trusted agent. They have all the info, they know deadlines and contract, all, all the things that they need to know. So you have your trusted agent and you're going out with the, your cash approval, let's say 300,000. And you find a home that you love. You will actually have Homeward will make the offer and your agent will represent Homeward on the first transaction. Let's say that offer gets accepted, then within 24 hours, we'll write the customer purchase, and that will be the contract for the client to buy the home back from Homeward. Now, we won't actually execute that until, the home we've closed on it and the client's mortgage is funded, but we do write it within that time frame when the offer is accepted. So in that contract will look like it'll have the price of the home that we bought it for, we're going to buy it for, plus the convenience fee, which we could go into like how much that costs and everything, but just for process sake,
Yes.
that's what the contract would look like. And then, we'll say we close on the home with this particular program, buy with cash is what we're referring to. We can close in as quick as 14 days. Roughly, it's always case by case, but we've seen it can quickly close as soon as that. So let's say we close. The best part is your client can move into the home, get comfortable in the new home and start making it their own before their mortgage is even funded yet. Now, since we did do like the upfront approval, we have already underwritten the client. And if they were going with Homeward Mortgage, which is what most clients do, rarely do they go with like a different lender at this point. We keep it all under one roof. They use our cash and our mortgage and even our title. So our title company. So yeah, so the client, their mortgage will fund, and this could be with a normal mortgage company, it could be 30 days typically for your mortgage to fund. Sometimes with Homeward, we've seen it be even shorter than 30 days. Just again, because we've already done it up front and it's just a more seamless process since we're all under one roof. It's able to, sometimes we don't have to wait on the other mortgage companies since we're all in one sequence here in our team.
So let me interrupt you a little bit. So we are saying that the homeowner put the offer, we close, the agent represent the homeowner, the buyer can move in the home even without get approved for the mortgage, or is in the process of getting approved from the mortgage. Is that right? Correct?
So our approval process does enable them to fill out a standard mortgage application. So they are technically underwritten with us if they were to go with. So yes, they would have to absolutely be able to secure a mortgage in order for us to make a cash offer. So now whether they use it or not is up to them.
So what do you mean if they use it or not? So they are approved and, for example, they decide not to buy the home? Is this the what you mean? What do you mean? So not
What I mean is like if they were just to use our cash offer approval and they still
Mhm.
wanted to use like, for example, Rocket Mortgage or somebody else, a different mortgage company,
Oh,
they
okay.
could and use our cash. So we only thing would change there is the convenience fee would, just be a little different if
Just
they were
okay.
going to use us under all of our companies,
So
if that makes
there is a difference in the payment of the convenience fee if the
sense.
buyer uses your mortgage company or uses an outside mortgage company, correct?
Yes, we will
Yes.
provide like a discount of
Okay.
1% to the client if
Let's
they use us. Mhm.
so what is the client going to pay if, for example, so they moved into the new home and
Mhm.
the process of whatever it is, approval or from your mortgage company or the other company, mortgage company, lender, they pick and they choose. So do they have to pay a rent until they close to Homeward during the time they are in the home or not?
Right. Question. Yeah. So as soon as they move in and Homeward's like still the owner, for the time that we're
Mhm.
waiting for their mortgage to fund, they will have a rent that's due at like the very end of the process. It's not upfront or anything, it's at closing. But I can definitely give you an example. If we go back to like the purchase price of 300,000, the
Mhm.
rent would be calculated by 300,000 times 0.0072. That will also be prorated by the day because sometimes, like I was saying earlier, it could be
Yes.
shorter than the 30 days. So I just divided by, let's say, like 31 days. It's approximately like $70 a day for the rent
Mhm.
that you paid at closing as a closing cost.
Okay.
And that's
Understandable.
yeah, daily though. Yeah.
Mhm. So, thank you so much for all this. So, what is the first step that a home buyer has to do? A buyer, so to if they want to work with a Homeward. So, I understand as a real estate agent, so I'm introducing them to Homeward, and they will asking question, and they might get interested and might say that where do I start? How do I start?
Yeah, so I would say there's a on homeward.com, there's a get started button for either the agent or the client to sign in. I would probably recommend if you're the agent to just sign your client up so you're linked up and you can stay attached to the details of the client for when they get approved and everything. Because when the client does fill out the application, usually the approval specialist will either reach out to the client or the agent. But for like all the finance details, they'll need to be more talking to the client, um,
Mhm.
like their personal info. So that you could be like up to date with everything, I would sign up the client and so that you're attached. And that would be on the get started button on Homeward. Um, and you would also sign up for your agent dashboard, which is just like a login under the get started
Where they
button.
can, yeah, so everything is online. They do the application online. I know. Okay, yeah, sounds great. Hey, Alexis, I have final questions about you for you. So just I asked to everyone that I interview, what are like two pieces of advice, the most important based on what you have seen working with Homeward? So the two pieces of advice that you can give to the home buyers for them, so to help them to get a to have a pleasant as much as it can be a home buying experience.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of validating like that whole statement is it can be the most stressful, buy of your life, or financial, transaction that you do. And that's exactly why we're in business, is to make at Homeward your transaction is seamless and easy and just kind of like one stop. So that's exactly as well as why we're so heavy on partnering with your agent, because that's your trusted person you chose, and they can for free use these, tools to get you approved to be a cash buyer, which is going to, have you the best negotiating terms possible.
Correct.
Um, Cash will be king in any market, so that certainty is a huge benefit. I don't know if that's like advice, but because cash, everybody knows cash is king, but if you need advice and just being able to negotiating and getting your power when you're buying your home, and being the cash buyer is huge for you, versus, you going out and finding a home you love, but, there's so many offers on that home and you're having to compete. It's best that you have, you're prepared with having a cash offer, whether you use it or not, but you've been approved and you've done what you needed to do to have that in the back of, one of your options. Or some people just go right with it, using that. So
Yeah.
we can definitely provide that certainty, and so for a client to get their dream home. And we've seen a lot of people who've maybe seen their dream home pass and they're like, this is their last, leg. They're like, oh my gosh, this is my last moment. I'm even going to try.
Yeah.
So, we're glad to help those clients, but, best advice would be is getting just Homeward approved right away before putting yourself through that.
Yeah.
And being prepared. And again, we have our other program where we just back a client with cash, which is amazing because you can still, as a client, close in your own financing, and you're the owner of the home on that single close. But again, you were Homeward approved and you were just backed by cash. So of course, you would talk to a mortgage lender to get more info on which program's best for you. But I would just say in any market, having these ability to have better negotiating terms is the best advice that I could offer. And yeah, I don't know if that was one or two.
Yeah. You kind of wrapped up everything. So
Yeah.
I liked it. So yeah. So if with people that are gonna see this, or my audience or other interested home buyers, so where they can find you, if they wanna contact you directly, any questions, of course I'm here for them anyways. But if there is anything, so how they can contact you?
Yeah, I can
Uh,
actually I give out like my phone number is solely for, agents and clients who are looking to learn about Homeward. So my phone number, some people do message me on LinkedIn. So my name on LinkedIn's Alexis Vigrass. And then my
we
phone number,
will, yeah.
link
Go ahead.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my phone number will be here, I'm sure linked, 813-358-7385. So whether you want to get me on social media or call me, either way is good. I work to help at any, weekend.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
we are gonna put your phone number and contact information on the description of the video. Thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate your time, and we hope that our audience, so they learn a little bit more.
Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
me.
Thank you, Alex.